What is going on, everyone? This is ThumbBrother2 here. Welcome you guys back to another RTV. Now, I really do apologize about this going up so late, but I had issues with my computer at home, and YouTube was being a pain in the butt. So I'm over at my friend's house, Beverly. Where is she? Say hi, Bev. As Bev. Hi. So she's let me use her computer and stuff, which I'm very thankful for. But in today's RTV, I'm going to do kind of like another top 5, but this one's going to be related to Pokemon, because you know that it's, my main series game at all times. And this week is going to be a top 5 legendary Pokemon list. So for number 5, I decided I would go with Reshiram. And the reason why I went with Reshiram is just because of the whole lore behind it itself. Reshiram is supposed to represent Yang. It's Yang, right? Oh, Bev is gone. Yang, if I'm not mistaken, which is, Yang, which means sun, right? I think something like that, that's what she told me. And it's supposed to be, mean something, the light and the feminine design of Reshiram, I think, from what I was able to pull up, as well as just, like, its Pokedex entry. I mean, its Pokedex entry lets you know that it wants to build a world of truth, while with Zekrom, it's morals, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I see. The reason why I don't know Zekrom is because I didn't play Pokemon White. I only played Pokemon Black. So when I heard this whole lore about Reshiram, I completely fell in love with the idea of truth being behind a legendary Pokemon. That's its gift. That's kind of like its power. And plus, its design is incredible. And a lot of people say it's complete trash compared to Zekrom. I don't see that at all. In all honesty, I really, really don't. But yeah, that's definitely going to be my number 5 pick. My number 4 pick, I just put down my list. Hi, Bev. You can walk through. Yeah. My number 4 pick is going to be Cobalion. Now, this is another Gen 5 legendary Pokemon. Yes, I know. But that's because Gen 5, I feel, because there are so many Gen 5 legendaries, that they just did a good enough job to where, what am I trying to say here? They just did a really good job, I feel like, in Gen 5. Yeah, some of them are there just to be there, but at the same time, they made some really decent legendaries. And so the reason why I went with Cobalion instead of all the others as well is mainly over its design more than anything. When I first was playing through Pokemon White version, and, I went into that random cave off to the side right before... Oh, what's it called? The electric cave, where like all the floating stones and stuff. I can't remember the name now. Shoot. But anyway, like you surf over to that cave and you just randomly run into a legendary, and you're barely 4 or 5 badges in to the game, and you're already encountering a level 40 legendary. I mean, for me, that blew my mind, and the fact that there's just some random guy standing there saying that he's been waiting for someone, like a chosen one or something like that, to battle and capture Cobalion. And for me, that's absolutely amazing. And plus, the typing on it as well. Steel fighting, while, is pretty weak to a lot of things, it's something unique in itself. And competitively standing, Cobalion isn't, used too much, but it can be used really, really well. I know Terrakion is really the real one of the, the Musketeer trio, or quartet, I guess, with Keldeo in there. But yeah, Terrakion, really holds it down because he's just a lot faster, and he has better moves, I guess, with Rock Slide. But, I don't know. I feel like Cobalion could be used. I do use one competitively here and there, just to, have fun with it. And every time I use it, I do end up having fun. And honestly, just, with him being the leader of the Musketeer trio, I just don't see why he doesn't get more respect and love that he doesn't get, So yeah, there's my number 4 pick. Number 3 pick is going to be Suicune. Jumping all the way back to Gen 2 now, we are talking about one of the possibly one of the coolest legendaries of all time. Suicune, with its brothers, or sisters, I guess, since they are genderless, Raikou and Entei being born from the lightning that struck the tower, the fire that burned the tower, and the rain that calmed it. 3 random, unnamed Pokemon died and perished, while Ho-Oh revived them with those traits. And Suicune all around is just super, super awesome. From the anime, seeing it, just finding it in game, to even having its own game with Pokemon Crystal. I mean, Raikou and Entei didn't get that. And for me, that spoke to me way, way more than just randomly encountering Raikou and Entei when playing through Gen 2, because when I first played Gen 2, I had Pokemon Crystal. I didn't start with Gold, I didn't start with Silver. I was at that point where I could go to a GameStop when GameStop did this, and I could just buy a Pokemon Crystal. And I plugged it in, I just started playing from there. And for me, it was just something different about Suicune. It just looked more majestic, it didn't look too rugged like Entei or Raikou, I guess you can say. What is it? Raikou? And I dropped something. Sorry, Beth. But yeah, and then competitively wise, because I am a VGC player, I do compete competitively. Suicune is my best and my worst friend ever. I remember having a Tailwind team, and the reason why I had this Tailwind team set up was so I could use Suicune. As well as, the whole reason behind that is at my very first regional tournament for 2015, which I think was back in February, my team that I built was, was just a really generic team, current meta and stuff. Suicune absolutely destroyed me, because 1, it was super effective against, maybe 2 or 3 of my Mons, and number 2, it was just so bulky. I don't understand how a Pokemon could have so much bulk behind it, and it was just incredible just to see the true power of a legendary dog at that time, and it blew me away. So, as just a mixture of nostalgia, designed for sure, and just overall usefulness in VGC is why Suicune is at my number 3 spot. Moving on to number 2 now is, let me look at my list, is the OG Mewtwo. Now, call me a Gen 1er at this point, because I love everything about Gen 1 and then Gen 2 as well, because they are kind of sequels as far as the games, but you really can't go wrong with Mewtwo, in my opinion. And I know that's kind of just arrogant, I think, of me to say that, but just hear me out on this. I mean, Mewtwo was, because it was Gen 1, Mewtwo was the first one you had to really struggle for. Now, the legendary birds, yes, they were definitely difficult to capture. For me, personally, it was Articuno. That's why he's not on the list. But with Mewtwo, I mean, here you've gone through the entire game, you've battled the Elite Four, L'Oreal, or whatever her name is, Bruno, Agatha, and Lance, and then you finally defeat your rival. You think you're finally finished with this game, and you go back and you explore through the region again to see if anything's changed, and Cerulean Cave has finally opened up. And you're just thinking, why of all things is this finally opened up at this point? I mean, for me, at 6, 7, 8 years old, this was incredible because it was just something new. It's like, why was this hidden the whole entire time? And you just continue to go through this cave, and you ending up finding one of the strongest Pokemon in the entire game to this day, disregarding Megas at this point. One of the strongest Pokemon to this day in the game. And the fact that once you captured it, if you didn't use your Master Ball, that was even better, but if you were able to capture it with an Ultra Ball, it was just too phenomenal not to use, because it's special, in Gen 1, of course, special defense, special attack was just one trait, and it was just so sky high that, really, there was no point not to use it. Double negative means you should use it. And, throw on Fire Blast, Thunderbolt, Blizzard onto it. it was, as well as it keeping Psychic, you had an unstoppable Mon. Because Ghost couldn't do anything, because the only Ghost type in the game was Gengar, and it had Poison type, which was weak against Psychic, and then Bug type couldn't do anything, because I think the only highest attacking Bug move was probably Pin Missile, I think from a Beedrill. And at the same time, Beedrill's Poison type too, so it was weak against Psychic. So Psychic honestly was just so OP, and while you could struggle with trying to find someone to trade with for Kadabra to trade to an Alakazam, then just trade back, you could just go off and capture Mewtwo after, and then just wreck house with everybody. Like, I just remember walking into class one day and telling my friends that I finally caught Mewtwo, and they freaked out. And the fact that, you know, in Gen 6, it got 2 Megas? Two Megas that allowed it to be a physical attacker as well with Mewtwo X. And then just more special attack as far as Mewtwo Y. Not to mention that their base stats were higher than Arceus himself. It was just a phenomenal, like, awe-inspiring moment to think that here is Mewtwo, a genetically not mutated, but a genetically altered and created Pokemon made by man that's stronger than what could potentially be the Pokemon God. I mean, it's just one of those nostalgia things that continue to grow over the years through playing the game. And yeah, there's no reason not to love Mewtwo, in my opinion. And then finally, number 1 for my most loved legendary Pokemon is definitely Shaman. Now, hear me out on this one. Really hear me out on this one, because I don't have too much to explain with Shaman, I don't think. But when it came to Gen 4, Gen 4 was something completely new from Gen 3. I think it was, it wasn't as long as a break between, you know, Gens 2 and 3, but it was a pretty decently long break. And when you're going from 8-bit graphics to, I think it was like 64-bit on the DS, so many things were changed. And when, of course back then everyone hacked their device at that point, because who didn't, honestly? But when you get Oak's letter and you travel this aggrandized what's called route just to obtain just this one Pokemon, to think that to go through all of this just for one Pokemon was, it was almost brought me back to that thought of Mewtwo, you know? And plus it's just so cute, okay? Can I just say that right now? Shaman is without a doubt just one of the cutest Pokemon ever. In fact, next time, when I make another top 10 with better editing for sure, because there's no editing in this video, top 10 cutest Pokemon, Shaman's number 1. Get ready for it. You don't believe me? Wait until I make it. But Shaman is just absolutely adorable. And just its whole thought and concept as well as Shaman as being the thankful Pokemon, it just really spoke to me. In fact, I almost wanted to make my mascot for this channel a Shaman until I did some research and I found, you know, there was a couple people here and there that did. And it's like, I don't really want to copy them, you know, there's no real point to it. But and then it's, I'm not gonna lie, its Skyform I love as well, but I'm just talking about regular form Shaman. I don't know, it's design, it's just simple, and that's what I like about it more. And that's what I like about it. It's a simple design that classifies everything there is to be about a legendary. Its lore is fantastic, design is fantastic, and competitive-wise, you know, you can't really use it, but if you were to go on Smogon and just use Smogon tier rules, I mean, it really wrecks house for the tiers it can be in, if used correctly. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, when I went to a Comic-Con a couple years back, it was the first Comic-Con in my city, and of course, you know, a Pokemon booth was there, well, not really a booth, a whole section, I guess you could say, and there was this plushie, a Shaman plushie, probably about this big, in a protective glass case. And I looked at the guy, and he's like, you know, what's with the shaman? And he said that it was like a limited edition. I really doubt that it was, but it was like a limited edition version from Japan, like 2 or 3 some odd years ago. This was back when Black and White 2, I think, were barely coming out. And I looked at it, and for one, I'll admit to you, I am a very, very bad impulse buyer. That's for sure. And I looked at myself, I looked at the shaman, and I thought to myself, you know, if it's here by the time I come back tomorrow, first thing in the morning I'll buy it, and I'll carry it around with me all day. And I let the guy know this, and he's like, okay, but just so you know, if someone comes up with a deal and they want it, it's gone. And I was willing to take that. I was really willing to take that risk. And so, you know, I slept on it. I thought it over, thinking, you know, do I really want to buy this thing, or am I just going to blow this whole thing off? Because it's just a plush. And you know, I ended up going back in the morning, and I looked at it, and I went back to the Pokemon section, and sure as hell, it was still there. And so I figured at that point, you know, there has to be a reason why it's still here. One, it might be overpriced, and 2, other people just might not see the importance of it. And so I ended up buying it, and I gotta tell you, it's one of the best buys I have ever had. Some of you might be able to have seen it in some of my videos, some of my Pokemon videos, or some of my RTVs in the background. It's usually right here behind me on top of my bookshelf, scattered along with like my Sylveon and my Glaceon and stuff. But yeah, I don't know, it's just Shaman has been, since Gen 4, has been just a really, really cool mod for me to use, as well as just keep around. It's always just been on the back of my mind as something that's like, yeah, I really like it. I know it's a really odd way to kind of finish off a whole top 5 list, but at the same time, you know, it's just the simple things that count, I feel, when it comes to something that is a personal favorite. But yeah, this video ended up running a bit longer than I really wanted. I was really shooting for 10 minutes. Oh gosh, I really wanted 10 minutes for this video. But, you know, it's what happens when I end up rambling for so long. But anyway, if you guys like this video, please leave a like, comment down below. Leave a comment actually saying, you know, what your top 5 legendaries might be. And give the reasons as well, because, you know, I would love to read them, just to see what other people have experienced with Pokemon throughout the years. So yeah, all my social media is in the description below, and with that, I will see you guys in the next RTV.